Let's see who's bitching on the Battlefield forums today.
There are a couple of things in this game that absolutely eliminates any kind of enjoyment out of this game.
For me. Any kind of enjoyment out of this game for me. Sorry, people always seem to forget those two words when they're bitching. Obviously, one of my favorite things to do is talk about video games. With an industry so large, there's always different perspectives to look at. So today I wanted to try something a little different and look at some different perspectives over on the Battlefield 1 forum. For some context, I've been loving Battlefield 1 since it came out. Its fast-paced gameplay and well-designed maps have kept me engaged in every match. So with having such a good time, of course a forum post titled "Getting So Frustrated by This Game" caught my eye. Now let me say, as I alluded in the intro, everyone has different tastes, and that's fine. But more often than not, many gamers only see their POV, and they don't have a slider to help with that. So with that in mind, let's see what our friend's problem is with Battlefield 1. As we've already read,
there are a couple of things in this game that absolutely eliminates any kind of enjoyment out of this game.
Again, a "for me" is needed in there somewhere, but okay, so you're not having fun in Battlefield 1. Why's that? Maybe he's just not a fan of Battlefield, but no, that can't be it, because later on he says,
I have played that game.
Meaning Battlefield 4.
For almost 1,200 hours.
My god, I've been calling him friend because I don't really like to throw around names, but after finding out that little fact, I think Mr. Bucket suits him nicely.
That's right, I'm Mr. Bucket. I'm Mr. Bucket. Toss your balls in my top, I'm Mr. Bucket. Out of my mouth I will pop, I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run, I'm Mr. Bucket.
So what's wrong, Mr. Bucket? What's bugging you in Battlefield 1?
Suppression. It's completely out of control. There is so much suppression in this game that when a single enemy shoots at you from even short or medium distance, you're feeked.
I haven't thought about suppression in a Battlefield game since, honestly, never. I mean, Level Cap brought it up a few times, or Jack Frags in some videos, but I never personally really thought about it in the game because I don't see it as much of an issue.
Factor then in that maybe one more player shoots in your general direction and you're double fecked.
So I guess he's talking about what happens when an enemy shoots around you. Blurred vision and slightly messed up aim that, as the name says, suppresses you. The idea being one player fires at an enemy while the other players move up. Basically the whole point of the support class. LMGs have huge magazines for this reason. You put fire downrange and keep enemies off the advancing teammates. Now hold on to your butts because this is all one sentence here, but
my aim can be absolutely spot on. I shoot first and then this lucky scrub just turns around, absolutely screws my aim over, and he gets in some lucky shots that isn't even on target, and I die because my bullet starts flying for the stars and he got lucky.
This is honestly starting to sound like a cheap excuse when you keep getting killed.
Fucking netcode, I swear to God I hit him first. I'm not even really trying right now. If I was, I'd be fine. Oh, the suppression in this game is ridiculous. My aim was spot on. Nothing wrong with me. Nope, I'm fucking perfect.
Suppression is such a non-issue in Battlefield 1 that I can't really see why someone would complain about it. I had to actively stand in the open and get shot at just to cause a little bit of suppression, and even then it was rare. I mean, the way he describes it,
my bullet starts flying for the stars,
sounds ridiculous. I get he was probably in the middle of a rage quit when he wrote this whole thing, but dude, Mr. Bucket, you can have a bad match once in a while. We won't judge you. It's okay, buddy. It's just a video game.
It's beyond frustrating to know how many firefights you would win but end up dying instead because of this lucky bull. I hate luck in FPS games.
I agree on luck in games that are somewhat competitive, and I'll get to that later on, but it seems like the only fight he ever considers is 1v1. 1v1 me, bro. Come on, bro. 1v1. Let's do it. But you know this is a team-based game, right? Not like Counter-Strike or Overwatch with a few players on your team. There's 64 of them. I agree, in a 1v1 scenario, a luck-based thing makes the game unbalanced. But in a scenario where one person is shooting at you, suppressing you, while another team gets the kill, that's just teamwork, if it's even that effective in the first place.
BF4 suppression after DICE LA fixed it was absolutely perfect. No suppression in CQB, and it only made any difference from a certain range and mostly only with LMGs. Now it's even worse than BF3, and that game was absolutely crazy to begin with.
Back to Battlefield 4 and how perfect of a game it was. Guys, it was so perfect. Wasn't Battlefield 4 perfect?
Guys, I love Battlefield 4.
Isn't Battlefield 4 great?
I
just love it. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so great.
I love
It's so cool. Oh my god, LMG. Oh my god, this. Oh my god, oh my god. For all transparency, I'm not the biggest fan of Battlefield 4. It's not a bad game by any means, but I felt like the things the game prioritized compared to Battlefield 1 made it more frustrating than anything. So when someone says Battlefield 4's anything was perfect, it raises an eyebrow. So he says Battlefield 1's suppression is worse than Battlefield 3's at launch, and the comments were quick to respond, showing him what it was really like in Battlefield 3.
I think that's a little over the top.
No, yeah, that was a bit too much and deserved to be toned down, I agree. But again, it's so unnoticeable in Battlefield 1, I didn't even know it was in the game.
Quicksand, yeah sure Dice, you didn't fix this at all. There's no difference after you said you dealt with it. If I just crouch one time and then try to run, I'm completely stuck in place, move like a snail, and then I'm 100% dead.
Okay, so I'm not really sure what he's complaining about here. If he's talking about his movement speed slowing down after crouching or going prone, then yeah, that's a slight thing, but it is there. Battlefield 1 is one of the fastest games in the series movement-wise, so to complain about it now seems odd. Do you guys remember the good old days of Battlefield where everyone ran around and as soon as they saw an enemy they dropped down to prone position and fired away? This was actually an issue in early Battlefield games where people would just drop to the ground in every firefight because there was no negative effects for doing so. It was such a common problem that DICE removed going prone in the Battlefield Bad Company series. They later brought it back in Battlefield 3 and 4, but with long animations and slower movements to discourage it from being a problem. So it carries into Battlefield 1 as well. And if he's talking about the charge stab, then that's just how it works. It's a risk versus reward system. You take a chance using the charge to close the gap, and if it doesn't connect, then you're, as you said, feeked.
Random bullets deviation, luck factor, and randomness has absolutely no place in an FPS game.
Now this is something I somewhat agree with, but not in this instance. Nothing ruins a game's competitive nature like a random element, something that the player has little to no control over that can affect the outcome of a confrontation. That's not fair. That's why things like critical hits in RPGs always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That being said, I don't know if random bullet deviation falls under that category. Bullet deviation is part of the game's design, and one of the reasons I actually like Battlefield 1 so much more than Battlefield 4. In 1, the average engagement range was decreased with less accurate weapons. On top of this, character movement is basically the fastest in the series, making targets really hard to hit. From what I've seen, these elements move skill from purely aiming accurately to include movement and positioning as well.
Balance the weapons with bullet speed / bullet drop and especially damage fall off to prevent weapons from domination at a range they shouldn't.
Now Mr. Bucket, I kind of agree with you here. You can get the same style of gameplay, fast-paced movement mixed with accurate shooting without the random deviation, but he forgets why it's actually there in the game. When shooting a rifle in Battlefield 1, you can be super accurate like Battlefield 4's everything. But with automatic rifles, it's part of the recoil that the game simulates, making shots less accurate when you fire continuously. So it's again about moving skill from just perfect aim. With this setup, it's 1, realistic, and 2, adds the element of timing to your shots, having to control the burst of your fire.
Getting so tired of this, and with suppression on top of it, I might just as well close my eyes because it makes no difference.
I'm starting to think he did the same thing when he was writing this post.
These 3 things takes the enjoyment out of the game completely.
So a barely noticeable feature, an improvement over other Battlefield games, and a feature that is in every first-person shooter has ruined your game, Mr. Bucket?
Suppression and RBD is so extremely casual and newbie-friendly it make me mad. It's such a poor design choice.
Look man, suppression and RBD are not noob-pandering features. 1, the random bullet deviation is in everything from Splatoon, I'm sure, to Counter-Strike. I never played Splatoon, but you get my point. Kids games to the most competitive things. Here's a list of all games that feature it. That blur right there was a list of every FPS on Wikipedia, and that's because they're all in there. These elements add to the game in ways that you don't even think about. If you removed all the visual fluff, sound effects, and boiled it down to the most basic shit, it's just you dragging a mouse over to a point and clicking on it. That's it. So what you don't seem to get is these features add to the simple point and clickiness of a first-person shooter. Again, it moves skill from just pointing and shooting to how you move, how you manage your fire rate, and the distance you do it from. Fire from far away and risk missing the shot, or wait and move up carefully and quickly to guarantee a kill. Sorry if these points seem like, yeah, I get it, to you guys, but our friend really doesn't seem to.
Everything you messed up in BF4 has made its way into BF1. Haven't you learned anything at all, or does DICE LA have to come in once again and fix it for you?
Now here we get to the usual disrespect respectful gamer, and the reason I don't really have much respect for Mr. Bucket here. Everyone can have their own opinions, but they should have some reasoning behind them, and they are always open to be criticized. Hell, if you guys don't agree with this video, then don't just call me a faggot in the comment section below, but actually tell me why you think I'm wrong. Give a reason. That's fine. I love to hear different opinions, but when it devolves into stupid, pissed off bullshit, then that's not helping anyone.
It's time to stop!
I know that meme is so overused, but I really just wanted to put it in something, and if I wait any longer, then it'll just be like, oh my god, Grandpa, chill out with your meme. Anyways, with Battlefield 4, there is no doubt it came out with problems, and DICE LA did help fix them while the main DICE team worked on new projects. DICE LA only fixed the systems that the main DICE team already implemented, so they're the ones who put all the things that you love into your favorite game. But if you think they made it into a perfect game, then that's your opinion. Hey, see how that works? You like Battlefield 4, Mr. Bucket, we get it, and if you want, go play that game, because Battlefield 1 is a different game. I know that's an easy thing to say, just go play the other game, but in this case, I think it's justified. And I think DICE and EA think the same thing, because Battlefield 1 isn't a complete replacement for Battlefield 4. As you can see, they're all on the list over here, so they want you to play all three, or whatever's on the list. But Battlefield 1 is clearly a different game than Battlefield 4, and you might say it's more casual.
It's Battlefront casual. I hated that casual piece of crap.
Great, go play Battlefield 4 if you like games that are all about KDs and sitting around waiting for kills. I bet you're the kind of player that finds the places on maps where people run by a lot and sit there and wait and call that, oh, look at the great match I had. That was fun. That was skill. Battlefield 4 was clearly a game that I felt had little passion behind it, made to appease the modern military craze again. While Battlefield 1 has some passion behind the way it looks, plays, and a clear focus on teamwork this time around. These things you complain about being bad were changed for a reason. I think DICE wanted Battlefield 1 to be more about the match, more about the team, and not about the individual player, like 4 often felt. In Battlefield 1, I always seemed to focus on moving to the next point, or defending the next point, or helping the team strategically, compared to Battlefield 4, that was often a frustrating mess for all but the biggest buckets.
That's right, I'm Mr. Bucket. I'm Mr. Bucket. Toss your balls in my top, I'm Mr. Bucket. Out of my mouth I will pop, I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run, I'm Mr. Bucket.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different type of video. I just wanted to look at some different opinions, and I found this post and I was like, that could be fun to respond to. Let me know if you like this type of video, and also seriously, let me guys know, that wasn't a sentence. Let me know what you guys think about what I said. I could be wrong, and that's fine. I'm open to other opinions. But when you just go down and say, Anthony, that was fucking bullshit. What are you, fucking stupid? That doesn't help too much. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to support the show, consider giving to the Culture Shock Network Patreon. By giving just $1 or something to each of these videos, you guys can help support the show and keep everything going here. And you also get a special thanks at the end, which I'm gonna do right now. I'm Mr. Bucket. I want you to come in my mouth, Mr. Bucket. And it come out of my mouth, Mr. Bucket. And it come out of my mouth, Mr. Bucket. And it coming out of my mouth, Mr. Bucket. I'm Mr. Bucket. I'm Mr. Bucket. Bucket coming in or out of my mouth, Mr. Bucket. And it coming out of my mouth, the Mr. Bucket. This channel's hit a new low.